Okay, so where we left off, who are your favorites to win the MVP this year?
All right, I think it's tough to go against Josh Hamilton again. I mean, this guy's got all the tools in the game. If he can stay healthy for 130 games this year, put up the numbers he did last year, he's going to have a hell of a season. If Justin Morneau can make a healthy comeback, he could be a dark horse in the race because, I mean, when the guy is healthy, he just rakes, and there's no doubt about it.
Well, and the thing with Morneau is the Morneau and Joe Mauer right there. I mean, the two of them, big bats in the lineup together, they hit, what, 3-4, I think, in the lineup? Or
so.
4-5, or 3-4 or 4-5. So you put those bats together, and it's, okay, do we pitch around this guy and go to him, or do we pitch to him and then try and get him out so we don't have to face this next guy? Those kind of situations, that's where, there was a little bit of vomit. There's the rest. That's where you get someone like the Canseco, McGuire, Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell. You have those. And then
you went old school with that one.
You like that?
Yeah.
Back to the '89 Bay Area. What? Matt Williams. But I mean, those are the things where you have that big 3-4, 4-5, like two big bats right in a row in the lineup, and you're damned if you do, damned if you don't pitch to one or the other,
basically.
So does that help or hurt somebody's chances at an MVP?
I mean, I guess it depends on if all teams treat him the same way. Then obviously the person that gets the good side of this is going to have a great year. I mean, if Mauer's batting 3 and Morneau's batting 4, and they constantly pitch around Mauer or pitch to Mauer, so they don't have to pitch to Morneau, Mauer's going to put up numbers because
right.
I mean the guy can play and hit.
And yet both of them, I would say, I mean, the Twins are not known for big bats. Yeah,
right.
But the Twins are not known for having big bats. They're a scrappy little team. Every year, they're right at the edge. Are they going to make the playoffs or not? But those are two really good players who I think could, if one of them were on a different team, like if you put, Justin Morneau in San Francisco, he would be like the big bat in the lineup.
Yeah.
And teams would probably have to pitch around him. His average would probably go up 20, 30 points, more home runs. I mean, because he would be the big threat in the lineup. So I don't know.
That's a good point.
Anyway, other MVP candidates?
I think a dark horse could possibly be A-Rod. I think A-Rod's got one good year left in him, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's this year. I think after that it'll be a steady decline, but watch for his numbers to really pop this year.
Speaking of pop, he eats a lot of good popcorn too, doesn't he? Anybody else catch that? Cameron Diaz, here, let me feed you popcorn.
So, that's who comes to mind. I mean, Miguel Cabrera obviously can win it if he stays sober. Yes, that is the pot calling the kettle black there.
Hello, pot. This is Kettle. Kettle calling. My caller ID says Kettle's calling.
In the National League, Troy Tulowitzki's got to be a favorite. I mean, the guy puts up phenomenal numbers, great defensive player, just the heart and soul of that team. Exactly.
Yeah.
Pujols, you can never count him out much. Joey Votto, if he can produce last year's numbers again this year, he's got to be a candidate. Some younger players that could possibly be in the mix if they have great years. Buster Posey can go from Rookie of the Year to MVP, or even Jason Hayward. If the Braves go on this phenomenal run, Hayward makes his way up to 5th in the lineup and just starts smashing the ball.
Where is he now?
He's 7th in the lineup.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe Ryan Howard. If Ryan Howard carries this team while Chase Utley's out for the Phillies, he could also be an MVP candidate. So, I mean, it's a strong race in the NL.
Here's a question. I know they give out the Cy Young, and this is just me. I think I know baseball. Can a pitcher be the MVP as well?
Yes, but it hasn't happened
Ever?
For years.
I mean,
it's happened, but not in not in my generation. It probably happened when you were younger. Because, God,
we would have to look that one up.
Yeah, that's
Stat
true.
boy. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'll look. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing. because there's a guy throwing down in Florida. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Josh
Johnson.
Josh Johnson.
Right.
I think he's somebody that could very quietly have a great year. His ERA in Florida is fantastic. I think they said he was down in like the low 2s at home. And I don't know. I get the feeling that there's a chance that there could be a pitcher this year. I think that there could be a pitcher this year who is going to be in the running for MVP. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just threw out, why don't we just say that the entire Phillies pitching staff is an MVP candidate as a group.
No kidding.
So 1986, it looks like the MVP, Roger Clemens,
The Bo Sox.
won the MVP and obviously won the Cy Young.
24-4, 248 ERA, 238 strikeouts.
What was his record? 24-4?
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
and it's happened a few times. 81. We see Raleigh Fingers won.
Yeah.
They had Fingers.
Let's see.
Rod Carew.
Rod Carew was a hitter.
Oh, no, I was just reading it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Vita Blue won 24-8, 1.82 ERA. God, 301 strikeouts. That's pretty sick.
1.82.
Yeah, so definitely a good
It's like
year
my
for
blood
him.
alcohol right now. Oh.
So,
Is that where we're going?
yeah. So speaking of Cy Young Award winners,
Yes. Speaking of Cy Young, can Roy Halladay win a second straight Cy Young? My opinion, no. I think that pitching roster with the Phillies, I think it's pretty stacked. I think it'll be hard for him to get the recognition as a single player with all of these stars around him.
right. But then again, I mean, pitching is the most individual stats, in the league. I mean, you're not RBIs are contingent on who gets on base in front of you. Home runs, obviously, that's your own doing, but.
Oh, but yeah, pitchers, you could have 48 home runs in a year, and if there's nobody on base, you'd have 48 RBIs. And if you were to say to me, who do you want, the guy who hits 48 home runs or almost spilled. Did spill.
Yeah, but the nice thing about today is that there's so much advanced stats, sabermetrics, if you will, that, I mean, they can even take away a team's fielding deficiencies for a pitcher and say, if this pitcher played for a good fielding team, this is what his ERA would be. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, pitching now you can definitely evaluate one-on-one and taking out all the variables. And that's why Felix Hernandez won last year with the 13-12 record.
Yeah, I liked that win. Yeah. I thought that was good.
Well, he had a 2.48 ERA, but his team couldn't score any runs, and so I think it was a great decision by the voters.
I completely agree. Because, I mean, that was terrible. There was the big debate going on. It's like, okay, well, do you give it to somebody who has a good record, but his team scores 9 runs a game? You could win you could have a 7 ERA, but because your team scores 9 runs on average on all of your starts. What did they say out of his, 30 starts or so, or 30, I don't know what, 35 or 40 starts last year? He had 1 or 0 runs for over half of his starts.
Right.
So that's extremely hard to win.
Yep. But going back to Roy Halladay, I think he can win it. Do I think he will? Probably not. I mean, he's going to get up against his own teammate this year in Cliff Lee, who was in the AL last year, so he's a strong candidate.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim Hudson, he really came on late last year. He could have a strong year now, being in the rotation all year. I mean, you can't ever count out Tim Lincecum or really anybody from the Giants.
Freak! Love him.
So,
he had a rough year last year because they said and I watched, down the stretch because that's when DirecTV decides to actually start showing all of that around the league thing, where they on the MLB channel, another non-official sponsor of our program. When they run those the around the league thing. It's pretty cool. They break into the games. Well, they showed Giants games all the way down the stretch because it was Giants Padres. Who's going to get in? Who's going to be the wild card or division winner? But they were talking a lot about how Lincecum halfway through the year did a little tweak on his mechanics. Yeah, and he lost quite a few games in a row. Lost some of the command of his fastball. Lost his curveball a little bit.
Lost his velocity.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he straightens things out, and down the stretch, it's like, wait a minute, this is a Lincecum of old, and then all of a sudden, there's some ass kicking going on. The next thing you know, they're hoisting the. No, I was going to say the cup, but what do they really lift?
They don't actually lift a trophy.
Stupid trophy with flags all over it.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway. But I have to say, shout out to my father. He went to the parade in San Francisco because he works in San Francisco. Probably, okay, you think about all of the parades that you could go to for a championship, and I think this would be one of the best parades to go to. San Francisco wins the championship. Are they driving around in nice cars? No.
VW buses?
No. Oh, that would be funny. Smoke coming out of every orifice, whatever.
My God, it's Scooby.
Scooby snacks. No, they bring out the entire fleet of cable cars in San Francisco, and every player, like there's like 2 or 3 players on each cable car, and they're going down, and they have their names listed across the top, and then there's the coach, and everyone's out there with their families and stuff like that, and all these cable cars are going down the streets in San Francisco, and the streets are just lined. My dad said he got there about 2 hours before it started, and he was about 8 people deep on the sidewalk. I mean, he was back up against the wall trying to watch the parade. It was pretty cool. He sent some pretty good pictures of it. So I think that would be fun. I mean, if you think around the country, there aren't a lot of transportation things like a cable car, and the history there, and for the first time for them winning that in San Francisco, that was cool. But I digress. Beer.
And then?
And then, I know, I finished like 2 seconds early. Oh, that's what she said.
All right.
Okay, so after Halliday, about the Phillies rotation, do you think that this gives them a shot to be the best team in the league this year with their rotation?
The thing with the rotation, I mean, it's obviously great, but will they score enough runs to actually win games? Obviously, so far a weekend they have. They're 5-1. They've won 11-0 today, but they're without Chase Utley till God knows how long. I mean, this knee injury.
Knee. Oh.
So you never know how long he's going to be out. They lost Jason Morris, so they're out there 3 and they're 5 hitter right now. They've got Victorino is not what he used to be. Ibanez isn't what he used to be. Their rookie right fielder, Dominic Brown, who was supposed to be this young phenom, is out for a while on the DL. So can their offense score enough runs? That becomes a big question. It's not solely on the rotation. So, it's hard to say right now. Texas, to me, looks like the best team in the league. We'll see what happens in a couple months.
Well, Texas has the big bats, which I like. They can hit the crap out of the ball. I think their pitching staff makes me a little nervous, only because they did lose. I mean, they lost their horse. They lost Cliff Lee. So, that makes me a little bit nervous going into this year. If you're Texas, you've got that dude who's got the, that weird necklace thing that he wears. I forget his name. The left-handed kid.
C.J. Wilson?
Nah, I don't know. I thought it was something. I know I'm walking right into it, but I thought it was something Wood, like Haywood, or I thought it was something like that. But the pitching staff makes me nervous. But that's a discussion for another day.
All right, before we get to question number 1, we're going to take another break.
I only have one thing left to do.